Well, it's like a scene out of a movie. Inmates busting out of jail in New Orleans. 3 men have now been captured. Another 7, however, remain on the run after escaping on Friday through a hole in a wall right behind a toilet. The FBI now increasing its reward for information leading to the inmate's arrest to $10,000. That's on top of $5,000 reward by the ATF and another $5,000 from Crime Stoppers. NewsNation's Mills Hayes is in New Orleans for us with the very latest. Where does this manhunt stand this morning? Any new leads?
Hi, Marni. Well, we are checking in with our law enforcement sources, but as of now, we're still on day 4 of this manhunt. 7 inmates, as you said, still on the run at this moment. And Louisiana State Police, they say that they have actionable leads on all 7 of those fugitives, but admit that they could already be out of the state. They do believe they're getting help from family and friends. And you mentioned that reward money. It has doubled. And now, if you give a tip that leads to an arrest, it'll be $20,000 per inmate in total. So how did this all happen, right? The 10 inmates escaped by going through a hole behind a toilet, even leaving a taunting message above the hole saying, "Too easy." Of course, that was grammatically incorrect. And then they threw blankets over a barbed wire fence and ran across an interstate around 1 in the morning. Sheriff deputies did not realize the inmates were missing until 7 hours later. 3 of the 10 escaped inmates were caught in the first 24 hours because of tips from the public. And now law enforcement is asking for help again to find the remaining 7. And the FBI says they strongly believe there are people helping the escapees evade capture. The Orleans Parish Sheriff Susan Hudson says it would be nearly impossible for the inmates to escape without help from the sheriff's office. At least 3 employees so far are being investigated and have been suspended without pay. And Marni, there is some concern from the public about how long it took for law enforcement to realize that these inmates were missing, and then also how long it took them to tell the public, because this happened about 1 o'clock in the morning. The law enforcement didn't know until 8:30, and the public didn't know until about 11. Marni?
Yeah, 7-hour head start. Not good. Mills, Louisiana's governor also issued multiple executive orders because of this escape. What will that do?
Right. Well, Governor Jeff Landry, he's ordering an audit of the Orleans Justice Center after this. And he also is asking for the inspector general to come in and count how many of their inmates are actually Department of Correction inmates. And so he is saying that this was a massive failure and really laying blame on some of the local leaders in the area. Landry accused the New Orleans court system of going too slow. For example, one of the inmates still on the run, Derek Groves, pled guilty to manslaughter in October last year and was awaiting sentencing. The governor says that if he would have been sentenced by the court system, he would have been sent to a higher security facility and never been able to escape at all. Landry is laying blame at Orleans Sheriff Susan Hudson, Orleans Parish District Attorney Jason Williams, and judges at Orleans Parish Criminal Court. Governor Landry criticized systematic failures in the criminal justice system, including jail security and court inefficiencies.
Resolving these cases requires cooperation between the district attorney and judges, as only the judge has the ability to continue these cases. I'm asking the DA to explain to us and to the public why these cases are not progressing.
And we've reached out to the New Orleans district attorney. We're waiting to hear back, but Jason Williams has previously said that this escape was completely unacceptable and that it was irresponsible of someone who was entrusted with basic responsibilities around this jail. The governor saying that the audit of the jail would be complete by the end of the week. Marni?
Mills, real quickly before I let you go, I mean, what's happening then around there? I mean, the public is obviously concerned as to where these men may be. Are there checkpoints? Are there alerts going out? Are people doing anything differently today than they would have before this happened?
Not really. And the police are telling people to be alert, but also not to freak out, basically. And we haven't seen a ton of law enforcement presence around here. We've been checking those flight track radars to see where the helicopters could potentially be. Some of the activity is happening south of New Orleans. So we're going to check in with our law enforcement partners and see if we can figure out exactly where they're looking. We haven't seen a whole lot of activity here today.
All right. Thank you, Mills. Appreciate the update. Wow.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased News for all Americans.